Welcome, my friends, to the AI Music Intelligence Report. And today's story, coming on the heels of the crazy Suno announcements, is even more alarming. Spotify just announced the AI Persona badge. Starting mid September, just after Suno's TOS rolls out, artist profiles that Spotify believes represents AI generated identities will get a visible badge. And by default, those profiles are cut out of every editorial and algorithmic recommendation on the platform, which could highly affect earnings. This is Spotify's most direct and brutal move yet on artist identity, not just on the music itself. So let's take a look at what exactly this holds. The single most important detail in this announcement is that the AI persona badge does not evaluate the music, it evaluates the artist's public identity, the name and imagery on the profile. And that means a real human artist who leans on AI tools throughout their creative process stays completely unbadged and unaffected. Meanwhile, a fully human made track fronted by a fabricated AI generated persona gets the badge. And Spotify is explicitly separating two questions here. The industry has been treating these questions as one: who made the music and who is this artist? Only the second question gets a label here. This is how it works step by step. It starts off with self disclosure, and that opened today through Spotify for Artists. All right. Then Spotify runs automated screening on profile names and imagery. Anything flagged goes to a human moderator. Spotify has been explicit that it will not rely on self disclosure or automation alone. The rollout itself starts with higher audience profiles first, so the badge covers the artists that most listeners actually run into, not just the long tail. And every labeled artist gets notified with a path to appeal or to self disclosure after this fact. So it's a 5 step pipeline: self disclosure, automated screening, human moderator, audience threshold rollout, and notify, appeal, or disclose. My friends, this is really big. Three surfaces and one exception. The badge shows up on the profile banner and the About section in search, and on track rows in playlists by default. Zero AI personas will show up in editorial or algorithmic recommendations. And that's brutal. That's the teeth of this policy. The one exception: if a listener actively follows an AI persona, that artist still shows up in their personal feed. That's the mechanism worth underlining. Spotify isn't deleting anything a listener actually chose, it's cutting off the passive discovery pathway, the algorithmic nudge that helps an unknown AI act become a chart adjacent name without most listeners ever registering what they were following. So, this, my friends, for people who overnight became AI sensations, they need to think again. They need to come clean and say, I'm a real person. This is who I am. And they need to comply with whatever Spotify is looking for. So, this line from Spotify's announcement: Spotify's programming is focused on elevating music from authentic artists, building careers in music. So, it's not a ban on AI music, it's not a value statement about technology, it's a programming decision. Elevate authentic artists, build real careers, and everything else in this policy, the badge, the exclusion, the review pipeline, is downstream of that one editorial choice. AI persona badges will not launch in isolation, though. They are the last piece in a trust stack that Spotify has been building all year. Verified by Spotify confirms a real human. AI credits lets artists disclose how AI touched the process. Song DNA surfaces actual contributors, and artist profile protection guards against misattribution. If you are an artist that listeners are actively searching for, that Verified by Spotify covers that. What none of the four tools addressed until today was the most basic question: does the name on this profile refer to a person at all? That's the gap. And that's what this AI persona badge closes. That is why it is so significant. So if you take four things away from my talk today, my friends, the first is the badge. The badge labels artist identity, not the music or the production method. Two, AI assisted human artists are never touched by this. The badge only applies to fabricated identities. Third, the consequence isn't removal from the platform, it's exile from recommendations. The music stays up, it just stops being pushed. Fourth, this takes effect mid September, but self disclosure is open right now, today, through Spotify for Artists. Now, you may ask the question, why now? Well, there are two forces. What I believe is a lot of the big dogs and the powers that be are trying to clear up shop before end of this year. That is my speculation. I'm not saying I'm entirely right on this, but I just see a lot of cleanup happening as though everyone is trying to clean up before December hits. We shall see. But I know that a lot of the activity with Suno comes in parallel. And first of all, the pressure side, a coalition including the RIAA, right, and the Recording Academy called for AI labeling just a month before the announcement. If you remember my episode on that, they cited listener demand for transparency, and Spotify's move answers that directly. But Spotify isn't arriving with a clean record on AI trust, because weeks earlier, Lord publicly called out Spotify's About the Song feature after it generated inaccurate AI written commentary about her track. Spotify admitted the mistake and said the tool was still in beta. So the honest framing here, the same company asking listeners to trust its judgment on artist authenticity, is still debugging its own AI tools elsewhere on the platform. And that tension, my friends, is definitely one you want to keep in view as this rolls out. So, Spotify will now police an artist's identity in a way that it has never policed the song underneath it. The badge is coming in mid September, and the exclusion from recommendations is default on. In the coming months, Spotify says it will also let listeners report profiles that they suspect are undisclosed AI personas, crowdsourcing the hardest part of the enforcement. Whether the automated plus human review holds up against acts that are built specifically to slip under an audience threshold is the open question that this series will keep tracking. This is the AI Music Intelligence Report, and it's your buddy Phil coming to you on the heels of the crazy Suno announcements. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. And if you're not using musicspiration.com, check it out. This is a platform that I built to empower musicians. It has tools for musicians that are both to help you with your AI assisted music and also to help you with your non-AI assisted music. I have keyboards, I have arranger keyboards, and many other instruments, but I also have prompt tools to help you with artificial intelligence. Thank you for joining me. Let me know what you think about Spotify. Is Spotify going rogue? They haven't announced withholding any payments, so that's good. But this could just be the beginning of many more announcements. Take care and see you next time. Like and subscribe.